everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 155, nearing the end of year 3. And this is the first podcast, ladies and gentlemen, where me and Clay are not friends anymore because he picked Dredd as a better comic book movie than V for Vendetta on Twitter.
So hear me out. So I have not watched V for Vendetta in, I want to say, nearly 5 years, 6 years. And I know I've recently seen Dredd. So I think that's what kind of had me swaying a little bit more towards Dredd. And to give some context, there was like this tweet that's like, okay, pick one from each row. Yeah. And the ones that I picked, I believe was like Batman Forever on one. Then it was Dredd. Then it was oh shit, I can't even remember what it was. But the competition on that row was V for Vendetta, Dredd, and then two like it was Constantine for one, because I remember Raphael had also replied to it. And I was just thinking, here it is. So I picked Batman Forever, Dredd, The Punisher with Thomas Jane, and then Joker. And the rows go Hellboy, Batman Forever, Kick-Ass, and Sin City. Of course, Batman Forever on that one. The second row is Blade, Constantine, V for Vendetta, and Dredd. There's no competition as far as like getting Constantine and Blade 2 out of the way when it comes to V for Vendetta and Dredd.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It's like you had to choose those two because those two, it's with people who don't take off their masks. Dredd does not take off his mask for the entire movie. And that's the kind of thing that I absolutely love when it comes to comic book stuff and just like vigilante stuff in general. Because Dredd never takes off his helmet in the comics. Same thing for V. So I understand like the political part of V for Vendetta and how it's like very surreal and stuff. So I totally understand your hate when it comes to my decision.
Well, the thing is, I think V for Vendetta is the best comic book movie, period. Out of all of them, even The Dark Knight. And the reason why, because I know people are gonna be like, listening to this podcast. The reason why I think The Dark Knight isn't better is because when you make a superhero movie, your superhero should be the best thing in that movie. And we know that Batman is not the best thing in The Dark Knight. It's Joker.
True. It's Joker.
And so I think you have to knock it a little bit. That doesn't mean that I don't absolutely love The Dark Knight. I went to go see that movie 3 or 4 times in theaters. Like, I mean, I can't be Clay. Clay worked at a fucking theater when watching that movie. But you know what I mean? Like, I saw that movie multiple times because I absolutely loved it. But I went to go see that movie because of Heath Ledger. Like, I always went to watch it because of him. I didn't give a fuck about Christian Bale. I thought his Batman was weak, you know? Like, the fighting wasn't exciting or anything like that. But V for Vendetta, I watched it recently because of the Batman. I was like, I can never watch the Batman again. And then I was like, I kind of want to see what V for Vendetta was kind of like chill and stuff back in the day. And I rewatched it. It's so fucking good.
I need to go back to it.
It's because so fucking good.
Back in high school, there was like the cool kids would be like, all right, it's the 5th of November. You need to go watch V for Vendetta, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a thing between me and my friends. We would all like go to each other's houses or whatever and watch it, whatever year it was. So yeah, I need to go back and I need to watch it. I think what I should do is I need to look at what streaming services it's on, or if I need to purchase these 2 movies. I definitely need to.
I own it, so it's on my phone. It's one of the movies that I'll watch if I'm on a plane. Like,
like you told me that whenever you would go to like your trips to San Diego Comic-Con and you would just like sit there and watch movies. I need to watch them back to back to see like, okay, what is the definitive movie between the 2?
And you're talking about modern, like the most recent Dredd too, right?
Yeah,
not Sylvester Stallone's Dredd.
No, because you see Sylvester Stallone's face all over that movie.
Well, that's also when he has like mind sex, isn't it? No, that's Demolition Man.
That's Demolition Man.
Okay, yeah. Mind sex is the one thing I always remember when he fucks Sandra Bullock in the mind. You know, that shit's always funny. But anyways, that was the post that ruined our friendship with that. I was just like, what the fuck? Anyways, the other movies were kind of weird on that thing though.
Yeah,
It's
it's
funny.
very odd.
So here's this: would Dredd still, if we didn't do Rose and it's columns instead, is Dredd still your number one?
For
If
that,
you go columns, yeah.
If I go columns,
because you have Sin City, Spawn, and the latest Suicide Squad.
I honestly I would push the Suicide Squad away. Only because when you look at Spawn, Dredd, and Sin City, they're in a completely different kind of category than Suicide Squad is.
I really like Sin City though. I really like.
I really watched. I remembered that I wasn't allowed to.
Movie.
Well, I wasn't allowed to watch it because I was so young, and my uncle was watching it in the living room once, really late at night, and I heard it, and I just crept my way in, and I was sitting in the kitchen in the dark so he couldn't see me, and I was just watching the movie.
I think a Dolphin movie came out that year. That Sin City came out, and we bought tickets to the Dolphin movie, and we snuck into Sin City.
That's awesome.
And I missed the first part of the movie, but we watched a majority of it, and I was like, whoa, because back when we were younger, black and white movies weren't the thing, So seeing something like Sin City was just different at the time. And it was fucking really cool. So I actually love that. I mean, anybody that's actually seen, obviously this isn't a visual podcast, or it technically is now if you want to see video game stuff. But anybody that's been to the live streams know I have a Sin City wall, which is just me ripping the pages out of the comic book and putting them on my wall. But I absolutely love Sin City. I think it's fucking fantastic. But I think the picks might be a little different if you went columns instead of rows. So anyways, for sure. Follow us on Twitter if you want to see stupid shit like that all the time. But anyways, the one thing that is also involving Twitter that really kind of pissed me off this week is seeing the DC comic book covers for Hispanic Heritage Month. And for those of you that don't know, me and Clay are Latinos, and we're Latinos, Hispanic, Mexican. I don't really care which category you put me in. Technically, I guess I would be a Hispanic from the proper terms, but I think Latino includes more, so I just go with Latino. It's easier. Yeah. And a lot of people that I know reference themselves as that. I think just Hispanic's a longer word, and it's just we just go with Latino. And so, DC. I like that they're trying to do something, but it was very clear this week that whoever the editor at DC is, whoever's clearing all the comic book covers or anything like that, it cannot be Latino. That's for one, because I don't see how these covers got cleared. And if you have not seen these, if you don't know what we're talking about, just look up DC Comics, Hispanic Heritage Month covers. You're going to see one of Blue Beetle, you're going to see one of Hawkgirl, you're going to see one of Green Lantern, I'm forgetting his name, Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern. You're going to see one of, who else am I missing?
So here they are in order. There's the Kyle Rayner one, which is the most controversial. Mm-hmm. Then there is Blue Beetle, Jessica Cruz, Hawkgirl. Then you have Renee Montoya, Question. Mm-hmm. And then you have Bane, and then you have the Blood Syndicate. Those are all of the covers.
Yeah.
And most of them, no, not most, all of them include food.
Yeah. They're eating it or holding it. And I was just
or serving it, which is
that's the worst one, fuck? I think. I think Hawkgirls is the fucking worst one. Because the thing is, it looks like she's just at a restaurant getting a bunch of stuff to go feed people. You could have at least had her feeding children if you're going to do that. Do something where it shows like she's doing some good. Here's the thing. We've talked about that we're more on the side of, we're not the most PC people in the world. I think we're pretty progressive, but we're not necessarily, we don't care about we're not hardcore PC when it comes to shit, because I think it's overreaching a lot of the times. We've talked about the whole, all the characters being gay, but not, they're not doing anything with them. So it's kind of for not in a lot of these comic books. If you've listened to the podcast for a while, you kind of already know our personalities. So normally, if I saw a character eating a burrito, I probably wouldn't care. But when you put it on a Hispanic Heritage Month and you're only doing 6 covers and every cover has to do with food, you're essentially saying, oh yeah, Latinos, all they're known for is food. Like that's all people care about.
And it's bad because like the thing is the Kyle Rayner cover had him holding originally the cover was
he had like a flag.
It was Jorge.
I don't remember the artist name.
The artist for Joshua Williamson's covers for Batman.
Okay.
I knew it was him.
Mazaz or Mariz or something like that. I don't know his actual name, but I think it starts with M.
I can't remember his last name either.
Yeah.
But the original cover had the Mexico flag, and it had the eagle as a Green Lantern construct, and he was holding his lantern. That's the original cover. And then, without his signature, there was another cover that was altered, where the Mexico flag was completely erased. It was a green construct flag that said Viva Mexico.
Yeah.
And he was holding a bag of tamales.
Yeah, that was so fucked up.
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So there's
I can't believe that passed.
And the thing is, I didn't know that there was this many covers.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had to tell me.
Yeah.
So I saw that one first, and I was like, what the fuck? And then the other two that I saw was Jessica Cruz and Blue Beetle, and they're both eating burritos.
Yeah.
Like it's not like one is eating nachos and the other one's eating burritos, or like you couldn't even spice up the variety of food. You're just like burrito. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding
and
me?
Somebody might say like, oh well, Bane's not eating like Mexican food. He's eating flan, which is it's a Mexican dessert. So it was I couldn't believe it. I was just like, bro, every cover. What I said in the Discord was, if you wanted to do food and you wanted to do your characters, what you should have done was you should have had all your Latino characters around a table eating this food together like a family. Like, that's big Mexican culture. Mexican families love, and I'm saying Mexican now, but it's like Latino incorporating everything. The whole culture is about family. It's about, the people you love. It's about getting together. Like, it's what happens. Like, everybody that is Latino has probably been to a big family get together. And that just happens on the weekends. Like, that's just what fucking happens. And it's a big thing. And other people are like culturally shocked by that sometimes. They're like, y'all get together like a lot? I'm like, yeah, it's just what we do. And everybody's like, whoa. It's usually my white friends are usually the ones that are like, really? Like, that's crazy.
And it's usually, like you said, it's not planned. It's just like, hey,
it just happens.
Let's just like let's go to, Abuela's house or whatever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden there's like a whole party going on.
Yeah. It's just because everybody brings something and it turns into a party. It's a potluck, essentially.
Yeah.
And so our grandma's just fucking making everything. And so it's like, all right, fuck it. And that's just kind of how it is. But seeing, I don't know, man. Like, it's one thing about it being in books, but then seeing it as the front covers of every single book, I was just like, wow. One would have been fine. Like, one I would have found funny, Yeah. Two, maybe. But all of them,
like there's a way to make it intentionally comical, to like, because we make fun of ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
And that is okay. But when you're just like, oh, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, they all need to be eating food.
Yeah.
Like, that's when it's like, dude, we have sports, we have music, we have dance, we have fashion. There is so much in the Hispanic culture that they could have used. And I even said on my post, I did the Selena part of the movie where her dad is like, we have to prove to the Mexicans that we're Mexican, and we have to prove to the Americans that we're American, and all that stuff. And I said, you could have easily, there is a lot, Dan Mora being one of them. He did the Jessica Cruz cover. But there is a lot of Hispanic, Latino artists in comic books in general, like not just at DC, but in general. And DC, all they had to do was say, hey, we need this character featured, but draw what your heritage means to you with that character.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do.
So that had to have been the email, right? Like, hey, we got these 6 covers, just have them eating Mexican food, you know? And I know a lot of people, I got, because Twitter's a cesspool, right? So I did get a thing that I don't know if it was like a progressive tweet or not. I ended up, I don't know if I think I muted the person because I was like, I don't want to hear from this person again. They were like, yeah, man, this, I'm trying to find it. Riff as I find it. Say some other stuff. I'm trying to look.
Well, no, it's just like I had this conversation with a friend of mine who we talk a lot about the Latino representation in comics, and he has been following this since the beginning. And I think especially, it shouldn't just be the Kyle Rayner cover that gets altered. Like,
yeah.
I think they should axe all of these covers, or at least a majority of them, because the one with the crime syndicate, or the whatever it's called, blood syndicate, they have the whole group gathering together to eat. That's something that we recommended. So I think that one is safe. Everybody else, take the food out and do something else. Like, you have Green Lanterns. They have the unlimited power of their creative mind.
Yeah.
There could be plenty of constructs that they could do to represent Hispanic heritage,
Yeah.
So that's my thing.
Okay, I think I found it. Let's see. I just had to find the guy. Where the fuck is it? So first of all, oh god, I'm trying to find it through his mass amount of crazy shit that, and I don't know. This guy.
Oh, wait, so what is it? The one where you're actually sharing the post?
Yes. Do you see it?
So I got it.
Because I muted him, so I had to find it.
So
now.
He says, "Yep, all of us Hispanics, quote unquote, are Mexican. We all eat tacos, tamales, and whatever else kind of food you think comes from brown people from the South. Thanks, at Flotus.
Which is Joe Biden.
Yeah. P.S. And no, Despacito isn't a song I bump in my lowrider." And then he did a Dumb and Dumber picture that says, that has Jim Carrey out the window. It says, "I can smell breakfast tacos."
Yeah, so here's the thing. I think, and just to clarify, when I'm saying Mexican and stuff, I just because it's what people say. They say Mexican food. They don't say Latino food. It's always Mexican food is what they say. But we understood that, fucking Puerto Rico's around and all that jazz, and everybody has their own cultures. We understand that. But vastly, it's known as Mexican food in the States, right? Because in Puerto Rico, it's just known as food. It's not Puerto Rican food. You know what I mean? It's just food. So I think he probably took a little offense that the article said Mexican food, because I don't think I say Mexican in the thing. All right, I think I say it maybe in the second reply. But either way, that person, I went and checked out their profile. I was like, oh, it is brutal fucking Trump, kill Biden, all this kind of bullshit. I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, nope, fuck this guy. So it brought out that one person. I'm like, dude, you're definitely the one person that doesn't give a fuck about this, meaning wise. You're just trying to fucking go off of you're upset that somebody said in a fucking speech. You know what I mean? But yeah, either way, man, overall, this whole thing, I thought it was just a really bad look, for DC. And this is why when people talk about diversity and shit like that and stuff, this is where the executive branches should have diversity. So you just don't have things like this happen. You know what I mean? There should be somebody at the comics place. Even the artist should have the opportunity to be like, hey, if we ever say or ask you to draw something, it's okay to speak up. You don't have to say hey, man, this isn't a good look. There should be that doorway if somebody wanted to do that. But yeah, man, it's because roughly, especially lately, I've been kind of trying to get away from the political stuff and just kind of just chill and be like, you know what? I don't want to be overrun by it, because I know in the next 2 months, it's going to be hectic with the elections coming up, especially here in Texas, it's going to start heating up pretty soon. And I'm already look, it's going to get bad towards the end of the year. So I'm kind of just trying to take things a little bit chiller. But when we cover comics, and this was picked up by our local news, I was just like, oh shit. Like if our local
That's
news,
what got me like, oh shit, because I
yeah,
saw the article that you shared. I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's not comicbook.com. That's not
no,
like all of these other like nerd stuff. That was from our town. That's
that
crazy.
was our city, and I was just like, bruh. So that's just kids are reading comics and stuff like that, and maybe they probably think it's cool, maybe they find it relatable, but we're older now, and we're like, dude, you could have shown so much more. You know what I mean? Latinos are artists. Like you could have had, dude, it would have been better. I would have had like Kyle Rayner playing like imagining mariachis or something would have been cool. You know what I mean? Like everybody playing guitar or something, like that would have been better. I know a lot of people would be like, that's stereotypical, but Latinos fucking love mariachis. Like it's just like, no, mariachis are dope. Like, you know what I mean? Or he could have been with mariachis at a party and he had a guitar or something,
Yeah.
like you could have done other things. Like I don't think I would have been mad if every cover was a different Latino thing, personally. But they all were food. It was like right on the nose. And I was like, come on. So yeah, I don't know. That was the one thing that kind of just got under my skin this week. But apparently there was a lot of shit going on in terms of DC. Like, I don't even know where we want to start. We should just, because this isn't really much. If you're enjoying Harley Quinn season 3, season 4 is on its way, ladies and gentlemen. So that has been renewed for season 4.
Which is crazy because I'm pretty sure that sometime next year, if not early 2024, HBO Max is getting like cut. It's being destroyed.
Yeah.
They're deciding Warner Brothers Discovery is not merging the two to become Discovery Plus. They're making a completely new app, and they're going to put both of their products as far as like shows and content on that one app.
Discovery Max or what?
So you have to like kind of push this out pretty freaking soon. And the announcement said season 4 sooner than you think.
Yeah.
And they didn't release a date. I think that it might actually come like probably end of the year.
Do you think that they're doing what they did with season 1 and 2, where they made all of the original things and they just cut the seasons in half?
I was going to make that suggestion. I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Is that they made a full, because how many episodes is this going to be? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 13?
Yeah.
I think that they made a full 20 to 26 episodes and they just cut it in half.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen too. I know Raphael said that he's like, I'll stop watching after season 3. So Raphael not liking it. But I believe I've had a conversation with Raphael before, and he just said he didn't like the character development with some of the characters in the show, like Hype Man and stuff. But
I will say this. I've seen everything in season 3 except for today's episode because we record on Thursdays.
I haven't watched anything.
It is a little bit weaker than the first 2 seasons. I think that there's good moments, but I feel like in season 2, especially because I feel like in season 2 they knew what they were.
Yeah.
And season 2 was hilarious. This I kind of just watch, and there's like a little chuckle here and there.
Yeah.
But nothing that has me remembering every episode.
Yeah. I only watched the first 2 or 3 episodes or whatever it was so far, and I laughed out loud in each one episode. So as long as you give me one of those, I'm good. But it's also like something like Harley Quinn is not something that I overanalyze like everything else. Like the way I would overanalyze the Batman. You know what I mean? Like I see Harley Quinn as, I like to call it throwaway entertainment. I'm not expecting to be like hardcore moved by that show, I expect it to be like Rick and Morty. That's what they're trying to be. They're trying to be Rick and Morty with Harley Quinn. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, yeah, there are some people that love Rick and Morty that like know all the theories and storyline plots the way we kind of know how Batman works. And like, those are hardcore Rick and Morty fans. That's not me. I turn on Rick and Morty. I'm just like, huh, yeah, that was cool. Huh, and that's it. And that's how I watch Harley Quinn. And that's how I watch most animated series. Unless it's like a hardcore animated series where I'm like, damn, this is deep. Like, when I watch like Young Justice, right? That is more of a drama anime that I'm like, okay, I was like, this is interesting. Like, there's some deep ties here, and it gets dramatic. You know what I mean? But I don't think that when it comes to like comedy animes, you know. So, yeah, I mean, but you know, to each their own. Everybody's kind of into it. Like I said, I haven't watched this season, so I can't tell you if it's good or not. I've only seen the first 3 episodes, and I laughed when I did watch it. So there's that. Now, I feel like a bunch of the next topics that we have all kind of intertwine. So how do you want to go about this?
Well, let's just do the real small one real quick, which is DC Fandome has officially been canceled.
Yeah, I just saw this today.
Warner Brothers Discovery. It is Popverse who broke the news first. It says it's official, DC Fandome 2022 is not happening. And it's not surprising because what are they going to do? Hey, this is DC Fandome 2022, your DC canceling event. Like,
yeah.
They have canceled everything that was going to be coming out this year or moved it to next year. Yeah. And I think in this article, it even states, like, I don't know if it was a representative for WB or Zaslav himself, but basically stating, oh, there is plenty of in-person events that we can go to in the future where DC Fandome is not needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Comic-Con. I think they're going to start being a big push at Comic-Con now. But at the same time, we got to remember Fandome was surrounded by AT&T, and AT&T was the main sponsor, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So AT&T wants to have their name on everything. Like anything and everything that can show our logo, we want it. You know what I mean? Discovery doesn't seem to care about that. So they're like, dude, we're Discovery. We know what we are. We're not trying to be fucking worldwide known. We're just Discovery. And they want to make DC their big thing, right? So
yeah, but my thing is, and I know a lot of people that listen to our podcast don't necessarily care about this, but let's look at Disney and Marvel. They have San Diego Comic-Con, but they also have in September D23, where they also showcase stuff. And that is more of like a Disney thing. But throughout the year, they have events where they can showcase more that they didn't at the other event.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're doing that with DC, just having San Diego Comic-Con, like you're blowing your load one time every single year, and you can't like spread it out. And I feel like that may be a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah, there's a sexual joke in there. But yeah, freaking I don't know, man. I do think they knew. It's funny. I want to say the first year we started this podcast, we like predicted Fandome, and we were like, they need something like this. And we were talking about this, and then Fandome came out. And we are like, what the fuck? We told you guys. But I do think Fandome is a good way to do something like that. But I mean, if you don't go to Comic-Con, they were still blowing their load at Fandome. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's still once a year. And D23, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it a bi-yearly thing? It's not every year. I think it's every other year.
Is it every other year?
Yeah, I think it's every other year, if I'm not mistaken. Because it's not something that people talk about all the time. It feels like they talk about it all the time, but that's just because it's internet shit. I want to say it's every other year. Because I've had friends that try to go to it. And so it's not something that happens every year. But yeah, I don't know, man. I agree that I think there are plenty of things that people can do to make to build buzz. But I think if you were going to cancel Fandome this year, it's the best way to cancel it is because there's not shit to talk about.
Yeah.
But I do think that WB Warner should make a new event where they talk about all their properties. If they're going to talk about Harry Potter, they're going to talk about whatever else they fucking own, and just kind of launch the new things. Cause I think it's a good way to build buzz, and you can call it WBD. That sounds fine. You don't have to call it Warner Brothers Discovery. Like,
and even like Star Wars. Star Wars has its own thing as well. Yeah. They have their Star Wars celebration where they announced everything there. WB has enough franchises where you can spread it out like that. And I think that it can work very well. I know that there's all of that shit with J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. You hear the new book that she wrote recently.
Did she write a new book?
Yeah, she wrote a book about a YouTube animator that is murdered because they're a transphobe.
Wow. Really on the nose that hard?
Yeah. And it
Did she use her name? or is it a pseudonym?
I don't believe it is. Oh, on the like as the author. I
Yeah,
think it is her name.
it is her name because
Yeah.
she wrote a book in a pseudonym name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently it did really well. So
This new book though is 200 pages less than the Bible.
wow.
Yeah,
All
like
right.
it is humongous, and it's all about this one YouTube star that is murdered for being transphobic.
That's so weird. I mean, to
Yeah.
be honest, you could say that that's two books that could really be cut down to like 10 pages. Like the Bible does not need to be that long. Be a good fucking person. How about that? You know?
True.
Yeah.
So true.
God.
But in regards to that, like I feel like Harry Potter could have its own event.
Yeah.
DC could have their own event. Shit, what other franchises are there?
That's the thing. Those are the two biggest ones that I remember. Like,
I mean, genuinely though, they are big.
yeah.
Like you could legitimately have like for the fact that at Universal, the biggest thing at Universal is like the Hogwarts stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you could definitely surround an event around that.
It's funny you bring up Harry Potter because we talked about that on the live stream yesterday. I was talking about one of the viewers, Craze, and we were talking about I think he was asking about that new game that's coming out, like Hogwarts, whatever. Because that's coming out
Hogwarts
soon.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the idea of like people boycotting it. And I'm like, dude, I'm kind of over that mentality of like boycotting shit because like if I think if you play that game of being like, I won't support Harry Potter because of J.K. Rowling, you can't do that for everything in your life because eventually you're going to be supporting something that's terrible. I mean, just living in America, we're with our taxes are paying for war. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Fucking leave America? What are you going to do? Go to Canada where they're finding bodies of indigenous people all the time? Everybody's like, let me go to Canada. Canada's got its own shit. You going to go to Mexico where they're cutting people's heads off? Like every place has bad shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because I was talking about how, like, I mean, if you're a Michael Jackson fan, right? People are like, did he do it? Did he not do it? Like, he's still got banger music. So it's like, are we going to not listen to this great fucking music? You know what I mean? But I bring up the story of, because I had this in my group chat. One of my favorite bands growing up was called The Lost Prophets. And it turned out the lead singer is a fucking monster. And I was just like, oh, fuck. But I have so many memories tied to listening to that shit in my Walkman, skating up and down the city. You know what I mean? And fucking hanging out with friends and blasting that music. And like, it brings me back to my high school days and my middle school days. And so, like, every once in a while, I'll still listen to it. People are like, you're listening to that? I'm like, you're really going to fucking play that card with me? Really? Huh? You're going to really fucking play that card? And I'm just like, dude, I can enjoy something and still say the creator's a fucking shithead. You know what I mean? I like 100%. Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling, a fucking shithead. You know?
100%.
Jeff Johns, I mean, I personally, I don't have a fight in the Jeff Johns thing, but people can enjoy Jeff Johns' writing and still think he's a shithead. Like, it's fine. Yeah. So just call out bad people. But you know what? Bad people can make entertaining shit. I'm sorry. It happens. It's Hollywood. You know what I mean? Look at how many monsters are from Hollywood that have made really good fucking films. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, that's I'm very ranty today. I got my teeth cleaned. So I think I got poked a lot in my mouth. So I'm just like, you know, fuck yeah. But
well, let's go ahead
to the next thing.
Let's move on to this whole rumor. Let's go to the multiple Batman rumor that seemingly Jason Momoa has kind of started, and then we'll move to like the whole rumors of reboot and everything else.
All right.
So it was.
We got to do viewer questions at some point, though.
Yeah. We will. So the rumor is because Jason Momoa was on the red carpet of the premiere of his season 3 of See, the Apple TV Plus show. And he stated, oh, well, there may or may not be, like, he gave compliments to Ben Affleck, and then he's like, oh, and there may or may not be more than one Batman.
Yeah.
And he was like kind of playing coy, and you know, the interviewer was kind of questioning him about it, and he was kind of being hush hush, and they started questioning him more about like, okay, well, you know, what are these rumors about a reboot and soft reboot? Like, who like. It got to the point where Aquaman was like, Superman, Batman, they don't run anything. It's me and Gal. Aquaman and Wonder Woman run this city, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring up the multiple Batman because here recently, within the last week, John Campea, somebody who has a very popular YouTube channel, he was at one point trying to be in the scoop game, got a few stuff, but he knows people in the business, and so he's knowledgeable about some things. You know, there was the whole
broke the original Ben Affleck thing leaving. So
yeah,
he has a track record of getting stuff right, but I don't know if he's always right.
Exactly. And so the new rumor that he has kind of started is that there has been talks of Jeffrey Dean Morgan joining the Flash as Flashpoint Batman, as Thomas Wayne. Now, my thing is, I have read nearly everything when it comes to like the screenings of the Flash and everything else. Yeah. Nobody has mentioned Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I understand that there are several cuts of the movie when they do this process, so you know, maybe they didn't want to put that in there to leave it as a surprise. That's very possible. But for me, like, I feel like this would have been out there already. They have spent nearly $300 million on this movie.
Yeah.
That is not even with marketing yet, because they have not marketed this movie whatsoever.
They don't need it, really.
Nowadays, like now at this point, no, they really don't.
No.
But like, do you think that they would be willing to put more money into this movie after everything that has happened, and quite possibly like leaving this as we kind of predicted months ago, years ago, that Flash will be a jumping off and jumping on point for the new DCEU?
Are they willing to put more money into it? Yes, I agree. Like I said, this movie's coming out unless Ezra Miller kills somebody. I stand by that. I will stand by that until this movie comes out. And I think if it's like, maybe the only way it comes out and he kills somebody if it's like the week it happens. You know, they're like, it's already coming out, okay? It's already coming out. We can't control that. Like, come on.
He kills somebody at the red carpet. Oh, shit.
We're already watching it. You already bought your tickets. You bought your tickets. You know what I mean? That's when they let him go. They're like, you just need to keep the crazy in until the week of when we start getting those pre-sale tickets. Okay. But no, do I think here's the thing. Zaslav made that one comment that we kind of brushed over, but we did talk about it on the podcast. That was like, hey, we've seen Black Adam, we've seen Shazam, or he named a few movies. He's like, we've seen a few movies. We like them, but we think we can make them better.
We can make them better. Yeah.
And the making the better could be just adding a few scenes, right? And they could all be cameo scenes and they could all be stuff. Now, this could be tied into everything else we're hearing about cameos and original trilogy Trinity coming back and all that kind of jazz. Maybe that's what they're adding. Maybe they've sat down with the agents of Gal Gadot and Momoa and they're like, hey, we know this has been a shit roller coaster for the last 10 years or whatever, but we got a plan. We're going forward. We want you guys attached and we want you to be in more films. Like, that's going forward. You know what I mean? And maybe they're just like, we don't care. Just give us money and that's it, you know? Because again, like half of as much as I hate to say this, what have a lot of the people in the Justice League done recently that's super popular? You know,
nothing really. I mean, Jason Momoa has his Apple TV Plus series. He's about to be in the Fast and Furious franchise. Zachary Levi, I think he's done one other movie. It was a football movie.
Yeah.
Don't think it did very good. Gal Gadot has been on Netflix and other streaming movies. Don't think they have done very well. Yeah. And I think Henry, like, as much as we love him as Superman, has been the most successful in doing what he wants to do in The Witcher.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So, and Ben has been with J-Lo. And like, you know, probably the best out of all of them. He's probably in the best situation. But like, to be honest, like, they haven't done much. And Ezra's been crazy. Yeah. So like, I think all of them can be like, they want to sign us on to these multi-year deals and we're just going to make a bunch of movies. Fine. Fuck it. Who cares? And maybe they're down. And maybe they like the people installed now. You were saying that Alan Horn and Ben Affleck apparently have a good relationship, right?
Yeah, they do.
So if they have a good relationship, he's like, Benny, my boy, I need you to come be Batman, okay? I need you to write this ship, okay? I'll give you all the movies you want, all the gangster movies you want. I'll give them all to you, Ben. But I need you to play this Batman for me. You know what I mean? So could easily be something like that, I think. And dude, you know what? To be honest, like, I don't think you were there during a time at our old job when management really, really sucked. To where when they left, we were like, whoo, oh my God, I'm so glad they're fucking gone. Changing management can make your job better. You know what I mean?
100%.
Look at the WWE. Everybody's apparently having a blast right now. And all these people are coming back to party now. They're like, yeah, because they're glad Vince McMahon's gone. And I've been talking about wrestling a lot lately. It's because I enjoy wrestling again for the first time in forever.
I'm gonna drop an exclusive here. Just because I know that most of the people on my other shows don't listen to this show.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to be joining a wrestling podcast.
Wow. You know what I found out today? I went to the comic shop today. I didn't know your former boss over there watched wrestling.
Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Like, I was talking to him today because we were talking near the toys. He was actually stocking the WWE toys. And I was like, are these selling better now that Vince McMahon's gone? He was like, I think we just got a really good line. And that's why they're selling. Like, it's like the new, like, Hogan and new, like, all these other old characters. And then we just started talking wrestling. And he was throwing off names I did not think he would know. And I'm like, oh, fuck, he watches. Like, holy shit. He was like, oh, yeah, the guy's at NXT, man. I think they should pair him up with this guy. I was like, God damn. I was like, okay. And so like it was fun to talk about wrestling.
I'm brand new to the world of the AWE or AEW and NXT.
Yeah.
So like I need to catch up on all of that before I jump onto this podcast. And so I'm gonna be like the newbie learning and giving my like insight as a new individual.
Nice.
So
nice.
I think
it's
that's
always
gonna
nice
be really,
to be
really
the new guy.
Yeah.
Because it sucks when you have all the insight, because then that's when people hate you. But if you're new, they're just like, he's new. He doesn't understand. He doesn't get all. Well, I think a lot of people hate the new guy sometimes too. They're like, oh, why doesn't he understand? What the fuck? I've been watching this for 30 years.
That's not what the move is called, man.
Yeah. It's called kayfabe. Why do you think it's not supposed to be real? What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, there's those guys. Like, okay, bro, like chill. But I've been diving into wrestling again, which is fun. Rumor is Royal Rumble might be in our city, so I might go to it.
Oh shit!
Yeah. If it's in our city, I might go to it. So,
but
we'll see.
Before we move on to the last two topics. Let's go ahead and do listener questions, just because this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. We don't have any comics. We barely have listener questions, guys. Y'all failed us in the Discord. I had to go searching in Twitter, and I actually have two questions in Twitter, actually.
Nice.
So
I'll check YouTube while you're doing that.
Phil asks, where would you like to see Cape Crusader end up? Of the proposed interest services looking to acquire it after HBO Max passes on it. So the services that are interested as of right now are Hulu, Apple TV Plus, and I believe Paramount.
Yeah. You said who asked you this?
There's this guy that I follow. His name is Phil.
Okay, this is exactly Raphael's question on YouTube as well. It says, are any of the streaming services that you think are underrated in terms of content? Oh, no, that's actually slightly different. I thought he was talking about Caped Crusader. I don't know. I mean, I still want Amazon. Only reason why I want Amazon is because I feel like if they get a season 2, Amazon would be like, you can do anything. I heard that you guys like Batman eating Catwoman pussy. Do it. You know what I mean? Like, they would be down. You know what I mean? I would hope that Amazon picks up Harley Quinn if it doesn't get a 5th season. You know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine Harley Quinn with no limits?
Jesus Christ.
God. So, I mean, with The Boys, like, The Boys has no. Dude, I was watching some behind the scenes of The Boys, and that one scene at the start in the first episode where it's like
all practical.
I could not believe
right.
that. I was like, they made that big old penis. Like, holy shit. I want to know. That's why I want to like work on a film set, because like the photos and shit that come out of the backstage areas have to be hilarious. I bet you everybody took a photo in that penis. They're just like, hey, we're hanging out in the penis. Like, you know what I mean?
No, there
Fucking
was
ridiculous.
one. I don't remember if it was a director or producer, but they basically like jumped in, and all you could see was like their legs hanging out
Yeah.
from it, from a photo. I was just like,
So
Jesus
crazy,
Christ.
dude.
But as far as the services that I would want, I will say this: everybody and their mother wants it to be on Hulu, and the reason
Why?
why, the only reason why is so that way in every other country outside of the US will have
Mhm.
it on Disney Plus. So that way
Oh.
Batman will be right next to Marvel.
I hope that doesn't happen. I hope fucking Netflix
That
gets
is
it
the
now.
only reason why people want it on Hulu.
People are dumb, dude. Oh yeah, Batman, that's the Marvel, and DC's gonna buy it. Fuck off. Tired of that shit. It blows my mind that there are people out there that want DC to be exactly like Marvel. Like, talk about people that do not like change. That is those people. Like, I want variety. You know what I mean? Like, I am a WWE kid. I like AEW. It's different, but it's not my favorite. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I like that there's competition, because competition makes shit better. Like, that's
Yeah.
just what it does. Like, can you imagine if like EA made every single video game?
Jesus
They would
Christ.
be fucking awful. You know what I mean? But we need competitors. And so that's why every sports game's the fucking garbage right now, because it's owned by the same people. And it's like, yeah, we need competing sport games that people are like, oh, let me pick this one instead. But yeah, I don't know why people enjoy that. I hope it's not Hulu. I hope that it's so far up that Hulu couldn't afford it.
I
That's
want
what
it
I
to be
want.
on Apple TV Plus.
That would be insane.
I have been needing a reason to subscribe to Apple TV Plus. I had it for free for a whole year, and I did not use it for only just one show.
Yeah.
I watched that Defending Jacob or whatever with Chris Evans, right, Chris Evans, yeah.
Mhm.
Excuse me, but like I've heard there's a lot of other good stuff on Apple TV Plus, and if Cape Crusader was on Apple TV Plus, maybe the same creators, if they decided to like create a world
Yeah.
with the Cape Crusader moving forward, just like they did with Batman the Animated Series moving on to the Justice League, I think it would be really cool for Apple TV Plus to have that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know, man. I think Netflix is gonna. We've seen Netflix is willing to drop money, and I think they're willing to drop money. And, we know Warner wants money. They're like, we need money right now, so they're gonna sell it to the highest bidder. I wouldn't be surprised if Big Daddy Bezos comes out of nowhere and be like, "Oh, what? You need money? Bam! Here's my dick." You know what I mean? And give me Batman. And then go from there. Because I feel like Bezos, if he'd be like, hey, I'll buy this, but I also want the rights to be able to like do Superman and shit too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like they would do something like that. Because can you imagine having the boys and Batman? Like, that'd be pretty gangster. So,
Jeez.
and Invincible, how big that is. Can you imagine if they made it like a brutal Batman, like in that style? They're like, hey, just make a Batman like this. Like, what if they made the Dark Knight show with that old grizzly Batman? Just fucking people up.
I could see it. I could see them doing it. Yeah.
That would be interesting. But yeah, anyways, I would probably still go Netflix. I think Netflix. I would want Amazon, but I think Netflix would be where it's going to land. So
yeah,
I think they just want a Batman so bad, you know.
Next question is from my friend Scott. He says top 5 Batman animated movies. So, some of the ones that I went to Google to see if I could find like a layout of some.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have Phantasm, you have Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, you have Mystery of the Batwoman, Gotham by Gaslight, Lego Batman, Under the Red Hood, Dark Knight Returns. There's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
So, what would your top 5 be?
Top 5? I always feel like 5 is kind of a big number when you do these kind of things, you know. Phantasm's number 1, obviously. Then I would probably go, if it's Phantasm is my number 1. I actually kind of liked Gotham by Gaslight. there's no particular order in these for me. I mean, Phantasm's number 100%.
Yeah.
Then it's probably like Under the Red Hood. Then it's probably like Gotham by Gaslight. I actually enjoyed the Dark Knights, the grittily, like, beat 'em up ones. And then just to piss people off, I'm gonna say Killing Joke, just because Batman fucks Barbara. So just to piss people off. I don't think it's a good movie, but just because of that.
So I'm gonna go Batman Phantasm, Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, Under the Red Hood, Batman versus Dracula.
That was a good one, actually.
Yeah. And then for my fifth one, I'm gonna go ahead and say Batman Year One.
I want to say I've seen that. I just don't remember. Which one's the one that has like the really sexy Catwoman in it?
That's Year One.
Is that Year One?
Yeah, where she's like on the stripper pole. Like,
yeah, I was just like, how did this get cleared? Oh my god! Every time I see that, like the GIF, I'm like, how did that happen? Like,
that movie is the one where Cranston is Gordon.
Oh yeah.
And the dude who played Gordon in Gotham is Bruce Wayne.
I am so shocked that Matt Reeves didn't get Cranston to be Gordon. Like, just putting Cranston in your movie makes people want to go watch it.
Oh, 100%.
Jeffrey Wright did great. It's not a hating on Jeffrey Wright, but I'm just feeling like Cranston was just there for the taking. But yeah, that is very interesting. So yeah, that's what I would go with. But Phantasm's the best Batman movie, period, in my opinion. So
yeah,
it is what it is. So yeah, a lot of controversial shit today.
You said Raphael had a question on YouTube.
Yeah, it was similar to the previous things. That are there any streaming services that you think are underrated in terms of content? You guys can't say HBO Max or Discovery, as it's going to be called soon. What do you think?
I would say, just because I am subscribed to it currently right now, and me and Abby are watching Psych on it. Peacock,
wow. That's how I watch wrestling.
It's just, it has ads.
Yeah,
it's just another Hulu for me. But I'm really enjoying Psych. But I would say, for one that I have not subscribed to yet, I would also say, just because I've heard a lot of good things about it, Paramount Plus.
I looked that up one time because I was trying to find the Fast and the Furious movies. Where the fuck are those? Who has those?
I have no idea.
Because I was trying to find the latest one with John Cena, because I need to see that movie. Like, it came out during COVID, so I just didn't go watch it, but it would look so batshit crazy. Like, I wanted to watch it. I just don't know where they're at. Because I looked on there and I was like, I don't see them. So I don't know who has the rights to the Fast and Furious movies. But
I do not see, because usually when you like Google it, it'll show you like how you can watch them.
Somebody in our chat has to know. So if you're in Discord or you're listening to this on YouTube, let us know if you know where you can stream the Fast and the Furious movies. Underrated for me, I'm going to say Crunchyroll. Because there's so much anime content. And if you want, now granted, I haven't been using mine. I've actually been thinking about canceling it soon because I haven't had the time to watch a lot of anime. But some people have been telling me that the censorship on Crunchyroll is getting it really annoying. And you know me, I don't like censorship. So I'm just like, I might need to cancel it. But Crunchyroll, I know a lot of people can't get into anime for whatever reason it is. But you have everything on there. Any kind of genre you want, any kind of craziness. If you want spicy shit to non-spicy shit to wholesome shit to like fucking comedy shit to very dramatic, like it is everything on Crunchyroll. And dude, I have a list that is miles long and I haven't watched half of it.
So right now, Fast 9 is where John Cena was a character. You can now watch it on HBO Max.
Really?
Yep.
In our country? That's the thing.
Now, the really cool thing that I learned is if you Google it, you press on the side where it shows show options. If I click HBO Max, it'll take me directly to HBO Max and start playing the movie immediately.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't do it. What the hell? Maybe not. Hold on. Let me keep going.
Yeah. So anyways, I would like to
yep, it's right there.
Yeah.
And right now, I just typed in Fast, and Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious 6, and 9 are on HBO Max right now.
Why do they have 3, 6, and 9? The fuck? That's so weird. What the fuck is going on there? I gotta watch 9. I've been wanting to, I want to see that ridiculousness. But yeah, anyways. So I would I would say Crunchyroll is my underrated pick for sure. Now we do have another photo. We have Dev Mystery saying great episode, fellas. And then we have Fide Arias, the one that I don't know if you unblocked or not, or if they ever responded on Twitter. Says great episode. In my opinion, the only time that makes sense for Batman to kill is in Final Crisis when Darkseid had taken over. Darkseid is not a human and the representation of evil. And in this story, as I interpreted, depression. So his no-kill rule wouldn't have made sense. What are your thoughts on that? Because Batman has had the precedent of he doesn't kill humans.
I think it has like reached out to like alien life forms before, like when they're like off doing a like mission in space or whatever.
Yeah.
But like he does always like to point out zombies are already dead. Fuck them. And like blowing off their heads and shit.
Or vampires.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything that has already died before, they can die again.
You think he applies that to somebody that they brought back to life? You technically died. Ah!
Ra's al Ghul, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, you technically died, bitch. That would be funny. But yeah, I guess because I don't think King had him killing in Adam Strange, right? I'm pretty sure Batman was just knocking them out.
Yeah, well, like he was getting pissed off at Strange for like trying to kill those people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, I believe the only like if it's like monstrous and doesn't have a coherent mind.
Yeah.
Because there was also the moment where in King's Run where Batman and Wonder Woman went into that alternate dimension and started killing all those monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I think he does definitely have different rules for sure. But yeah, I mean, the Darkseid one, that can be up for interpretation, I guess, you know, because Darkseid has intelligence, you know, he's technically a god and stuff. But at that point, do you say like, oh, you know, gods are bad people? I don't really know what you would consider, because I mean, Joker's technically human, so I can understand why he doesn't kill Joker, but Darkseid, I don't really know. And maybe that's the one where you just let Superman do it and be like, hey, Superman, you want to kill this guy? You know, let that be on your conscience. I have a rule. But yeah, so there's that. I don't know what else, if we have anything in Discord.
Discord, I don't believe we have anything. I think, Arwix asks, who do you think is the best live action adaptation of their fictional character? He didn't specify comic book or superhero film. So is there who was the best performance in that's how I see it, is what is the best performance in a fictional character that you have seen on screen?
V for Vendetta. If I got to go back there. Because you can't say Batman because we haven't got a real Batman.
Yeah, no, I can't say Batman either.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to say any superhero character.
Even Reeves?
I love Reeves. I do. But because we got Henry, like, I see, like, because of the modern comics that we read, I see Superman like that more than I see like Christopher Reeve Superman. You know?
Yeah.
And those are just based off of the different eras of comic books.
Yeah.
During that time when Reeves was Superman, that's what Superman was like. Now, this is how Superman is like with Man of Steel, with Henry Cavill. Gosh, though, maybe Alfred. I don't think there's ever been a bad Alfred.
Yeah.
Other than Gotham.
That Alfred was actually kind of cool though, to be honest. Like out
Before
of
he died?
huh?
I said before he died by Bruce.
Yeah. People will say he didn't die because technically, go fuck yourselves. People don't know good writing. I hate Gotham so much. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's been bad versions. I enjoyed Ben Affleck's Alfred. You know, that Alfred was cool.
Jeremy Irons, yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy Irons was really cool. But he's getting up there in age, right? I hope they make some
you
more.
know what? You know what? Scratch all of that. What's his name from Aquaman who played freaking Dr. Manhattan on Watchmen?
Wait, huh?
So the guy who played Black Manta was Dr. Manhattan on the Watchmen show.
Oh yeah. You think he's his Black Manta?
No, his Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, dude, with that guy, I gotta say is like, how'd you have to do that to me, man? When they made him Dr. Manhattan and you had to show his slong, like, why'd you have to do that to me, bro? That guy had a third leg, and I was like, bro, like, whoa, come on, you didn't like. I bet you he told me he's like, I want to go full Manhattan. And they're like, no. We don't need that. And then like, so you go watch Zack Snyder's Manhattan and you watch this Manhattan. And it's just like, bro, if I was the first guy, I'd be like, well, I mean, Manhattan can technically make things bigger and smaller. So I'm just saying, you know, like that's just what we're doing in the show. Like that's the one thing I'm just like, bro, he is just like straight up. If I would have said that too if I was him. Be like, no, I'll do full Manhattan. I was fucking packing that monster, Jesus. But that shit was funny. You think he's the best Manta? Like, or you're saying as Manhattan?
Manhattan.
Well, why though? Like,
I think that he had a lot of like just like the stoicness of Manhattan.
Guess.
And the one thing that
Zack Snyder really weird though.
Well, and that's Manhattan though. And the thing Manhattan in Snyder's movie had the weird, but the one thing that you were able to do in the show that they weren't able to do in the movie was show how Manhattan was talking to everybody at one point in the past, present, and future.
Yeah.
And I thought that he did very, very well.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. I need to go back and watch that show again. I can't believe David Lindelof or whatever his name was like, I'm one and done. But I mean, it was fantastic. You can't say that it wasn't good.
It was so good.
And so he could just be like, yeah, I made Watchmen. But maybe and he also ended it on a cliffhanger too, which I thought was really good. But like, where do they go after that too? You know, that's kind of where it is. But he had the perfect time to like, I know he made a tweet and it was never going to happen, but he was like, episode 1 of season 2, Black Lives Matter. Like, I was like, that would have been a really good fucking.
That would have been such a good episode.
Yeah, so that would have been fucking fire. That show should definitely come back, but he said he was one and done, which kind of fucking blows. Yeah, we did. So Charlie Bro does say, do you think Batman quarantines? Batman would have found a cure for COVID. So, you know, like he would quarantine in the Batcave. He would have the easiest thing, like asking rich people if they quarantine. Like, come on, like of course they could. Like they could pay to go somewhere. They have a house like on the beach already.
Yeah, and the thing is, I definitely think like even like Bruce Wayne would have given plenty of money to more than just Gotham's hospitals for breathing apparatuses for those who had COVID. He would have found a cure with some of the greatest minds of DC, Mr. Terrific and all of them. He definitely would have quarantined 100%.
I think the question is, would Batman force the vaccine on people? If it's killing people the way COVID was and it was taking over the world, would he like put it airborne to cure?
Oh, I was just about to say,
you know,
like to get away with it. I think he would have, because this is the guy that had all of the Justice League weaknesses.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell me that he's not going to do something that he's not supposed to do if it's going to quote unquote help him.
Because at the end of the day, Batman's like, I'm trying to save as many people as possible, right? Like, he'll try to save you from your stupidity. You know what I mean? And that gets, because if somebody's like, oh, you think Batman would really infringe on somebody's rights? He breaks the law every night he goes out. Don't try to give me that moral fucking compass that he would be like, oh, let me protect your rights. He'll beat the shit out of you if you're doing something bad. Like, try not to play the high ground, okay? Because it makes no sense. I hate when people try to bring legitimate moral arguments into Batman. Like, oh, he definitely wouldn't force people. No, he would fucking shoot everybody with needles if it was going to cure you of something. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have one more question. It did come in last minute. My friend Ray at the Flightcast. We talked about him last week in regards to the conversation about the contact lens.
Yes.
So he asked the question, your top pick villain for the Batman 2 and why it's the Court of Owls. And he did the smiley face with the sunglasses. So everybody and their mother thinks Court of Owls is definitely going to be showing up.
I would believe it. I would believe it, but I think it's fucking stupid. Because you're not going to get the real Court of Owls. You're going to get a guy that's like really good at fighting that dresses up like an owl. And it's going to be a mysterious family like in Gotham.
Yeah, you're not going to get the zombie story.
Yeah. It's not going to be comic booky. And again, anything you put into Reeves's universe that has a fantastical element is going to get dumbed down to be realistic.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that still believe, because even Phil commented on Ray's post and said, and Mr. Freeze, it's not going to happen.
No, I think Freeze or somebody can happen. It's just not going to be fantastical.
Yes. That's what I mean. And when people, because the number one thing people always bring up still to this day, and we've said it before on this podcast, is this man made me believe that apes could walk the earth and take over the world. It's like, yeah, because that's what Planet of the Apes is about.
Yeah.
His direction on the Batman is nothing like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Did he make you believe a monster could come out of the ocean and have a handy cam? Like a guy can run around the fucking city in a handy cam? Because didn't he do Cloverfield?
Yes.
Like, I don't see people bringing that up. I believe that in New York City, there's a fucking monster that's come on, guys.
But I think that with the Court of Owls, I think it can play very well with today's political climate with the rich people of Gotham would very much be at play here, especially with Gotham being destroyed and hey, oh, look at me, I will donate this much, but you love me for this and all of that. I think that could play very well with it. But if there could be anybody else, we've talked about this before. I think that's the safest bet, to be completely honest. Because outside of the zombie-esque notion of the Court of Owls, that's kind of the most realistic.
Yeah.
Other than
I think it's
the
very
other
doable.
Villains that we've already seen in realistic Batman movies.
It's very doable. Here's the reason why I don't want it. That is going to be a 3 to 4 hour movie because he's going to want to explain why the fucking Court of Owls exist, why they've been in Gotham forever, how somehow Alfred is involved in the Court of Owls, and that the Wayne family was also a part of the Court of Owls somehow, because they're going to find, Bruce is going to be going through the attic and find a mask. And it's like, oh, were my parents part of the Court of Owls? You know what I mean? My daddy. You know what I mean?
Your dad was hiring freaking gangsters and a part of the Court of Owls.
So
Jesus.
I just don't see. And then you're gonna have the Court of Owls, and then you're gonna have the Joker in the background with the Riddler, because he's supposed to have a comeback story. Like, what is that about? Are we gonna have the Riddler again? Like, nothing excites me about that universe. Like, I don't care. And again, like I said, everybody's like, oh yeah, you can do any kind of character. You didn't establish the fantastical in the first movie, so you can't just bring like Clayface or somebody out of nowhere. You just can't do that.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to do something where, I feel like if they were going to make Clayface, he would be a murderer or a thief or somebody that uses prosthetics to change his face to break into places or to do something like that. And he's just an actor on the stage, like they would do something like that to bring in Clayface. And maybe that's what they do. I'd rather have, you know what? I mean, I'll take Court of Owls or somebody that isn't Joker, Two-Face, Riddler, Penguin, you know. I'll take somebody different. I don't care.
So with the story of like the foster home though,
Mhm.
in the first movie, do you think they're gonna go the route of the possibility of Lincoln March being Bruce's brother?
I would hate that. I mean, because then Matt, you know what? Matt Reeves is the Zdarsky of fucking of Hollywood. That's what I'm thinking right now. If he does that, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna just take somebody else's story and fucking put it.
But it's okay. You can't say that because it's adaptation. Like,
it is adaptation. Yes,
everybody does it when it comes to superhero movies.
But it's adaptation. But why even fucking adaptation that at this point? You're not doing a true adaptation. You're just taking elements from it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, it's my story. Because you think he goes around and he says like, oh yeah, this is Scott Snyder's story. I just made it into a film. No, he's like, this is my story. That's what he's fucking saying. You know what I mean? He's not claiming it. Like, he's not over here like, oh yeah, I just want to thank all the people that I want to thank Bob Kane for creating Batman. He doesn't fucking thank anybody else. I made this movie. Nolan does the same thing. My Batman. You know what I mean? They're taking shit from good stuff. You know what I mean? Now, granted, it's not as fucking the way Zdarsky's doing it right now in his books, but like, you know what I mean? I think because genuinely, the Batman character, you could make your own Batman story without any of the original villains. I think you could still make a good Batman movie.
Yeah.
You could create a new character. I mean, they did it in the animated series. It's how we got Harley Quinn and a bunch of other villains that were never introduced before. And you could make a good Batman story without an original villain. I would love for a filmmaker to do that one day. Like, oh, we're bringing in a brand new villain. Like, could you imagine what was the guy that just got introduced recently that was a knockoff of Williamson's guy? What was his name?
Oh,
the knockoff of Phantasm.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I want to say Prometheus, but it's not Prometheus.
No.
Blacklight, or what the fuck was his name?
Something Darkness or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Abyss. Yeah,
that's what it was.
Can you imagine if Abyss was like the first character? Like, if his first appearance was on movies, that would have been fucking cool. And he made Batman's like eyes fucking go dark, and Batman had to play like he's blind as a bat the whole fucking movie, or majority of the movie. Like, that would have been fucking cool. You know what I mean? I wish people, because at that point I would say that director, that is his Batman story. You know what I mean? But I think when you're taking a lot of elements from a bunch of other people, it's not officially your story if you're building it off of something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it could be your characters, because like, how do you view what's his name? Rosenberg's story, because he took elements from every big story, but made his own story within that. I respect that.
And he created his own character.
Yeah, and I would agree. Like, okay, that's his character. That's his character story. I like that. I enjoy that kind of story. That's a great way to use other elements. But I just think it's weird when like, oh yeah, we're gonna adapt this, but you're taking some of the biggest elements from other stories. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of dumb. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of arguments against this, and I'm totally fine with hearing them. I just think it's kind of dumb when people are like, oh yeah, my original story. Oh, that you took all these elements from a bunch of other stories. Like, I think it's kind of bullshit. But it is what it is. Give me original characters in the movies. I'll take that. Actually, I want Scarface, to be honest. That'd be the best thing.
Yes.
It's so good, dude. I don't know why.
Now, that is all of the listener questions. Want to move on to our final two topics?
So we don't have it on here, and we said we're going to talk about it. The Zack Snyder stuff that came out this week.
Yes.
So obviously it's been very clear on this podcast. Clay has kind of been jumping off the Snyder wagon lately because the people have gotten crazier. But this week it came out, there was an article that said that WB essentially regrets making the Snyder Cut because it only further divided the audience instead of bringing it back together. What are your thoughts?
I think that, because there's two ways to look at this.
Mm-hmm.
One way,
how do you look at it first?
The way I looked at it, because I didn't know that this was being said by like ex WB employees.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like Discovery making this comment about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay.
So because of that, my initial thought was, I don't think Justice League, that's what people dub it as, and Zack Snyder's Justice League would have happened if Zaslav was in control back then.
Oh yeah, I don't think it happens at all.
Because for one, he would have watched Justice League before anybody else, and he would have seen that horrible CGI lip chin action of Superman in the very beginning, and he would have been like, "This isn't finished yet. What are y'all doing?"
Yeah.
Because that is his thing, right?
Yeah.
We are not going to put out a product that isn't finished yet.
Yeah.
So I think...
So technically what you're saying is Justice League wouldn't have happened, but Snyder's movie might have originally.
Yes, because I think that with everything that would have happened, that I guess wouldn't have happened because Zaslav would be in control, I think he would have said, Zach, leave, come back, finish the movie, we can move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it would happen too. I mean, with as much as leeway they're giving Ezra and everybody else right now, I think that's what would have happened. It's funny because if that would have happened, the view of Zaslav would have been so different because they're like, oh, look at this man giving this other man like a way to leave to take care of his family matters. You know what I mean? People would have been like, oh my God, you're so cool, Zaslav. But right now he's like the fucking villain of everything. And so what's your other perspective then?
My other perspective is kind of that, like, if you hadn't have fired Zack Snyder to begin with, there wouldn't have never been any divide.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even if you would have fired Zack Snyder, you could have just said, hey, let's finish this movie as intended. And it still would have been the movie that everybody wanted to see, Like there could have still been steps to where Zack Snyder's Justice League never needed to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always curious on like the title of assistant director is meaningless. Because when I think about it, I'm like, that's just somebody that steps in if something happens to the director. You know what I mean? Like your assistant director should just be as good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And should be able to take over. Like that's how I deem it, at least. But I guess that's not how it is. It's just probably like legitimately the assistant to the director, to steal an office term, But yeah, I don't know. That was just such a weird situation. And it was so long ago at this point. Like, I just remember, I'm not going to lie, because I'm pretty sure I have videos out there of being like very happy that Joss was coming in to like step into it. And that was before we saw how shitty it was. But I was just like, dude, this guy made the Avengers, and the Avengers, the first movie, was fucking fire. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to do this with the Justice League. And then there was like photos and like behind the scenes shit of like, oh, the Hall of Justice and all this kind of other shit. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I still don't even know where that photo came from. Like, that was really weird. And so like, I was like really excited. And then, I fucking remember walking out of that theater and being like, that was fucking awful.
What was that?
Yeah. It wasn't even necessarily about like the overall movie. It was just like, they butchered Batman. Like how bad that Batman was from this. And granted, to be fair, I don't think Snyder's version did any better to that Batman, the original Batman that he put out there.
Yeah.
So I was just like, y'all both failed me. Like, God, at least I could have had hopes for Snyder's. Like, I could have been in the pretend range of like, oh, Snyder would have been like badass. Because there was rumors of a badass Batman scene.
Yeah, there was the rumors of like, oh, the warehouse scene is going to be trumped by this scene that you're gonna see in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and there wasn't a scene like that.
Not even close. Like, not even close. And so I don't understand where that came from. But overall, like when it comes to this, like the thing is still divided. If you go on Twitter, it's so divided still, and it's fucking terrible. And like, dude, I honestly believe Snyder people, when they die, their gravestones will have Snyder on the name of the gravestone.
Jesus Christ.
I genuinely think that's how crazy they are. There are rumors that David Lin or whatever has like names for those kind of people. I don't know if those are real or not.
Dan
Lin.
Lin.
Yeah, my bad.
He did call them bots.
Autobots.
Yeah. And then there was some people that were like trying to stoke the fire, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I heard Dan Lin called Zack Snyder a cunt before." And
yeah, I don't know about all that.
I was like,
but
chill out,
it's
people.
possible. We don't know. But I said this before because I was on the soapbox of like, it's a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. But even before the pipe dream comments that I made, I always said, you do not give screaming children what they want, because it sets a precedent that like, oh, if we scream enough and we make enough trouble, we'll get what we want. Like, that's parenting 101, right? And you're doing this on the internet to people that are like, yeah. So when I saw that like they were going to do the Snyder Cut, I was like surprised for one. I'm like, damn, I can't believe it actually happened. But two, I was all like, let's just wait and see. I was like, because this ain't going to change shit. I already knew that. I was like, you're giving them one. Why not give them the second? And
we had those discussions. We had those discussions. I was like, you could totally give him two more.
See? But like that was the thing. I knew that was the long-term goal. But we also know that HBO Max wanted money and they needed a big bang for HBO Max. And they were like, fuck it, let's just finish this, you know?
Yeah.
And you got to admit, I mean, we made the joke a couple of podcasts ago, but you said somebody on Twitter made the joke, like WB's learned. They're just like, you're going to be able to watch Batgirl, and then we're burning the fuck out of this movie. We're going to destroy it. We're going to send it to the moon. We're going to you're never going to watch this. So don't even start a hashtag. And they're just not going to give a fuck about it. So pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just go back to my original statement. You shouldn't have given a screaming child what they want. I'm glad, people that were the good ones. I'm going to say that. People are like, oh, the good ones. What do you mean? I mean, like, there's some really shitty Snyder fans. I'm sorry. Like, that's just genuine fact. Whether they're bots or not, I don't think they're all bots. I think some of them are. But there are just genuinely shitty people. Fuck them. They're gonna constantly talk about this on every single thing, man. If Zack Snyder ever wanted to break the world record for getting his dick sucked, he can have it done, because they would line up 100%. They're like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. He'd break it. Because that's how crazy these guys are, man. They're as crazy as political people, genuinely, I think. Like, that's how diehard they are.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, every post, dude. There is not one DC post you can go to that doesn't have a Snyder fan under it. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
Have you seen them talking about the Oscar shit? How they're making fun of the Flash trailer?
Well, no, I've seen more people say that, like, oh, they think that this Oscar-worthy scene was never meant to exist.
Dude, I've seen people post the recent Flash trailer and be like, how is this CW show better than the Oscar award-winning Zack Snyder movie? And I'm like, did he even get an Oscar, though? Like, does he have a physical Oscar, or is it like a digital one where you're supposed to print out from the internet? You know what I mean? Because that was all fan voted.
It's like online diplomas.
Yeah.
Hey,
beep, 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 beep. Like, Zack Snyder has it framed at his house. Like, we won an Oscar. Like, it's so ridiculous. Because, like, everybody kind of already has their opinions about the Oscars, right? They think it's just a fucking fancy-ass party for rich people when it comes to elitist films. But I feel like, of course, the comic book fans are like, yeah, we won an Oscar, Like, it's like, bro, come on. You're not even at the show. Like, you were on the internet show that they didn't even bother to announce. They just showed you at the bottom, like, Zack Snyder wins a fan vote, yay! And it's just, like, blows my mind, bro. Anyways, we're going to talk about that. Zack Snyder, it's never going to go away.
No,
it's never going to go away. Because when he dies, it's going to be, like, this huge thing. Like, fucking, hopefully he lives for another 50 years or however long his health is. But, like, I wish everybody a long life. But moment he dies, all the Zack Snyder fans come out of the woodwork.
I'm just really looking forward to when his Netflix stuff really starts to pop off, because maybe, hopefully, people can start just like sucking that off and like forget about his DC stuff.
Yeah,
like he has.
Yeah, I wish they were that. It's so weird when you have people that really enjoy your stuff and then you're over it. but they're not over it. And they just keep staying on that. That's how it
Yeah.
is with having a fandom for Gotham. Like when I did it, I was like, guys, I'm over it. It's been 4 years. And they still come back. And they're like, Gotham, Gotham, Gotham. I'm like, dude, like I'm playing games with anime titties, and I'm now like, y'all guys want to check that out? Like, that's what I'm doing now. And they're just like, Gotham, Gotham, Gotham. I'm like, come on, man. And I will say, like, even if I was Zack Snyder, I'd probably be over it. I'm like, hey man, I appreciate you guys. You guys got us to get the film out, but like, I'm making this weird Star Wars film thing that's coming out, which I'll give that a chance. I thought his Army Dead was trash.
It was not great.
Yeah,
where
I didn't even see
like
the second one. Was the second one good?
I did not watch like the prequel or whatever, because
Yeah.
technically it was a prequel. But like there was also like this whole thing like with the Army of, what is it called? Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
Like dead pixels was a thing. Like there was like zombie pixels, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, that one little pixel in your TV that you thought was like broken. No, that was us. Like that's
weird.
fucking annoying.
Yeah. You know, that whole movie was just odd because they had like pregnant zombies, and I was like, really? Like, what the fuck? Like, it was just so
because
weird.
it was the idea that like it's like an alien.
Yeah.
That,
oh, really?
Yeah, like that was the whole thing, was because if you watch the very beginning, you can see like the remnants of like a UFO flying off. And it's supposed to be like this whole thing of like a alien that is very zombie-esque that is trying to take over the world.
Weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty
It's
awful.
it's very Zack Snyder, to be completely honest.
You know who Zack Snyder is in compared to the comic book world? He's Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
legitimately.
He is inspired by Frank Miller.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, he had homages in BVS. But no, genuinely, because he's making the Star Wars film, right? He's making a film that he made originally for Star Wars, right? And it's being adapted into something else, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Frank Miller did a story for Batman that was really fucked up, that DC was like, we can't make that a Batman story. And then he made it another story.
Yeah.
And it's like drawn like Batman and everything, but it's just a different character. And like I think he like crossed some lines in that book, if I'm not mistaken, that DC was like, no.
Oof.
Yeah. So same shit, like genuinely just in film form, which is pretty crazy. But anyways, I feel like today's just all over the place. Don't get your teeth done and then come to
we have 2 news segments. One is very, very small. This whole thing with Emma Watts. This came out of nowhere, and literally in the article, in the Variety article that it's coming from, it's literally a 1-sentence thing, just stating, oh, Dan Lin was said to get the offer soon, but just so everybody knows, this producer is also in the running. And that was it. Emma Watts has produced things like Transformers and that entire franchise, as well as things at Paramount Plus. A friend of mine was like, oh man, like this would be such a get for Dwayne The Rock Johnson, because she produced the Tooth Fairy movie that he was in, when he first started getting into films. And I was like, oh God, like let's hope, because there's still a lot of people that think that The Rock has a lot of say what's going to be happening with the future of DC, and I think that's kind of bullshit. But who knows? We will see. Humberto Ramos, the guy who's been covering a lot of the Blue Beetle stuff, has said that he assumes that Dan Lin will get an offer like fairly soon. I think it'll be before the end of September.
Yeah, I mean, you need to get these people in fast. So
yeah,
I like the idea of people who said like they missed out on an opportunity getting that opportunity. Because if you've ever missed out on something in your life, and I hope people aren't comparing this to like significant others, like she's the one that got away, because that's a terrible comparison. I'm talking about something actually worthwhile, because like, you know, you don't know how other people feel about you, but like if it's a dream of yours that you missed out on, when you get that second chance, you know, you've had so much time to think about it and like what you would have done, how you would have made it better, and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm curious on what Dan Lin could do. You know, and, you know, we're going to get into the other rumors here in a little bit, but I don't know anything about this Emma Watts stuff. If you mention Transformers, I'm like, no, thank you.
But you say no, thank you. But how much money did those Transformers movies make?
But here's the thing: as fans, do we give a fuck about money, or do we give a fuck about good movies?
We give a fuck about good movies.
Yeah,
and I think Transformers went downhill by the third.
I was done after the second. The second.
Well,
was
that's what I
fucking
mean.
atrocious.
Like, oh, okay.
The second was the one with the mom where she got fucking high, and she was like, "Woo!" She gets high. That was the movie that was written during the writer's strike. That's why it's so fucking bad.
Oh shit!
Yeah, if you
I must have forgotten.
Watch Transformers 1 and then watch Transformers 2, and they are drastically different. They are fucking terrible. I never watched anything after 2 because I think 2 is also the one with the racist Autobots, or the ones that everybody was saying were racist.
Oh, that's right. The two that are like very stereotypical.
Like, they have like slang and all this bullshit.
Yeah,
very stereotypical. Oh, it was also the one where they had like a balls joke in it, and like the Transformer had like balls or some shit like that.
Yeah,
like it was fucking awful, dude. And so I don't want that at all. So and I think I am coming from a fan perspective, obviously. But yes, if you want to make money, of course you would do certain things. But I think if you just make good movies, they make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look at Joker. I mean, that won people like us who didn't think the movie needed to exist, won us over, and it won $1 billion. You know what I mean? Or made $1 billion. So I think you make good movies first, and you care about the movies after. You care about the money after that. So
very, very true.
Yeah.
But I left this last news segment just because I think it will be a little bit of a talking point, and it's just like us to have zero things to talk about, but still make this a 2-hour podcast, possibly.
Yeah.
So
when I rant, I can rant forever. So,
so the thing is, of course, with a new producer and studio head on the horizon, there's always news of, okay, is DC going to reboot? Is it going to soft reboot? What's happening with all these actors and everything else? There's so many rumors with cast members returning in whether it be a cameo role or signing new contracts and everything else. We heard that the possibility of Ben Affleck and Superman both showing up, Henry Cavill showing up in Black Adam.
Yeah.
There's rumors of Wonder Woman actually having a huge action scene in Shazam 2. And then Batman showing up in Aquaman. So there's a lot of stuff that is getting these characters together. So Casey Walsh made a comment the other day, and he clarifies and says this is 50-50. So half speculation and half things he has actually heard from individuals that he is not letting go of who said it. But this is coming off of a conversation that people were retweeting. Grace Randolph had heard that Henry Cavill was being shopped around with Marvel, and there's apparently like 2 roles that they specifically want to see if he could do. And Casey Walsh retweeted somebody and said they're going to bring back Cavill and Affleck full time, and then have the Flash make it so none of them ever meet, and Batfleck has to assemble the Justice League again, but this time has more options. So what do you think about that?
I actually prefer that from some of the shit we've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
Because that's a good way to soft reboot, in my opinion.
I think it is. There's some people who actually like really hate it just because it's like, do you really want Batman and Superman to meet for the first time again?
True, fair point. But I mean, if you explain it well enough in the Flash, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that you have to lean heavily on the Flash for it to work. But I also think it's not going to be a play-by-play of the Justice League movie that we've already seen. So I don't think that he will assemble the team in the Justice League movie.
Yeah.
I think that they go with either. Because I always thought, hey, what you should do is do a reboot of like a soft reboot. Everybody knows each other. you start the new 10-year plan with the Justice League movie, and then you go off into solo films.
Yeah.
Just so that way everybody has their cake and eat it too, in the sense of like, hey, we have the Justice League back. We have all these characters. They're being badass. And now they go off and do their own thing. Kind of like how the Justice League animated show was.
Yeah.
The very first episode was like they all knew each other and they just like acted out on this mission.
Yeah.
But then this idea would mean that you start off with whatever solo movie you have, and at the end, Batman is there to recruit him.
Yeah. It's literally carbon copy of Marvel, almost.
Yeah, phase 1 of Marvel, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck it. That's what we wanted originally.
I would prefer, and I think it would be cool if Ben Affleck was the one to do it every single time, but what if you had, like, what if we had to assume that the Trinity already knew each other? Because after the first 3 films, at the end of each film, each one of the Trinity is recruiting that character.
I'd be down with that. My thing is, we can't have it be as slow as phase 1 because Affleck's 50.
True.
If we're lucky, we get 10 years. Well, I mean,
because we don't know the full capacity. Casey Walsh is saying he's back full time.
Yeah.
But what does full time mean for Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
Does that mean, hey, full time, my contract says I'm only going to be in the suit for 2 hours a day and I'm only filming for 3 days?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, as long as there's a cool Batman, that's all I care about. You know what I mean? And I think Affleck would love to just have his stunt double do everything, you know? Be like, hey, bro, I got the pretty shots. You get all the cool shots. You know what I mean? And you just need the, like, if they beat him up, like, all right, I'll just get dressed up and get the beat up scene and act it out, you know? I mean, we were just about to have a 68-year-old, like, Batman, weren't we? Like, so we can probably, long as he keeps himself in shape and J-Lo's like, no, let me do your skincare routine because I know what's going on. We could probably have Affleck.
Is giving him life.
Like, oh, yeah.
Let's be completely honest.
Yeah. She is the fountain of youth. So, like,
anything for Salinas.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that, like, we've got a good probably 10, stretching it 15 years of Affleck if he stays in, you know? But the cool thing is with Affleck pushing his age, let's just say we get it for the next 10 years, right? And I don't know if we're going to have a big, you know, crossover film or whatever we're going to do, but you could kill Affleck at that point. You know what I mean? Or Batfleck. So you can kill him in the big Justice League movie after the 10-year culmination or whatever, you know? And that's it. He's done at 60-year-old. He's done. And he could just be in a bunch of cameos from here on out. He'll just be like the comics. He's in everything, you know? But if he wants to put the team together and we want to do it that way, I'm totally cool with that. It's better than not having a Batman in the universe, okay? Because we're having to deal with fucking this Matt Reeves bullshit all the time for the next probably 10 years, knowing how long he takes. Yeah. So, and he's building his own universe. So I just need a Batman. I need a Batman alongside Superman. I want to see Batman saving Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman saving Superman and Superman saving everybody else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see that kind of shit. And I want to see Leslie Grace come back as Batgirl and be in her own shit with maybe a Nightwing. Maybe they just do a co-op movie or something. I don't care. I want to see the Bat family. And I want to finally see Robin. Like, I'm tired of not seeing Robin on screen. Like, yeah. And you can give me a young Robin now that's like 14, 15. You probably do like maybe like a 16-year-old that plays a 13-year-old, you know, and then grows up and then, you know, he becomes Robin and then he's like, we just go from there. Unfortunately, like if you do Damian, you can't really do much else because we've never seen Damian do anything else besides be a Batman, you know, unless you can get like, the thing that sucks is you never really know how a kid's going to grow. So it would, your ideal thing would be to get a kid to be Robin really young or whatever. He's Robin. He grows up. You get lucky that he turns into like a big kid, you know, that he's like 6 something and he can put on muscle and be Batman in the future. That's the best story you could tell, but you're not going to get that lucky.
How you know fucking wild would that be, man? If you played the cards right with your casting choice, and they grow up to be Batman.
Yeah, that would be nuts. So that's never going to happen though. But and you don't really need it to happen because like, you can just recast. But it sucks when you have an actor you enjoy that they play a character for 2 or 3 years and then they just get recast. You know, because they're like, oh, we need an older version. You know, that's what they tried to do with the Gotham kid, and they put him in the suit, and it looked awful. So you can't really do that. But dude, I mean, at this point, like, I mean. You said it in Discord that until you get a Henry Cavill movie, you're not going to believe it.
Yeah, no, I because the thing for me is if Henry is in Black Adam,
what if he comes out and said after Black Adam? What if he comes out and says like I'm in this for a long haul,
like longer?
What if he just comes out and says I'm Superman? Like,
I need to see the movie. Because as of right now, he has one more cameo. And if he uses that for Black Adam, in my mind, I'm like, okay, you used your last cameo. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, until I see or hear multiple sources saying, oh, Henry has signed a new contract. He's to be announced as Superman in San Diego Comic-Con 2023. Like, I need to have a lot of people talking about this for me to even think about having hope about it again.
So seeing him in Black Adam does nothing for you.
It does something. It's like, oh, cool, I get to see Superman again.
Mm-hmm.
But for his future, nothing.
I just don't think it depends on how the cameo goes, right? I just don't think you do a cameo without having something set up for the future. Now, granted, I know they did it in Shazam, but it wasn't Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
It was just a guy in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have Henry Cavill, I don't think you get him to do that unless you have something already solidified for the future. Now, I'm curious about what's going on with the Marvel rumors. I don't know what's happening there. I doubt there's anything in his contract that says he can't be in both.
So apparently the rumors that I had heard about Loki season 2 had been shut down. So apparently that is not the case, but there have been multiple reports of people reaching out to Henry at least. So like as far as like making offers and stuff, I have absolutely no clue.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want Batman. I just want a badass Batman in movies that is not walking everywhere. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I will say, kind of excited if it is all going to be real and we're going to start rebuilding something. But Ezra Miller's your wild card. Like, what is happening with that guy, and what are they going to do? I was talking about this in the on my live stream yesterday. I was like, if I'm WB management right now, I have talked to Ezra Miller and be like, look, as of right now, you are no longer the Flash. If you can stay clean and we have no more incidents until this movie comes out, we will reconsider you being the Flash going forward. But as of right now, your job is not safe as the Flash. But I'd also threaten him with the other stuff that WB has. You know what I mean? It's like, you're also not a part of Harry Potter. Everything we have you as, you're not a part of anymore unless you stay clean until this Flash movie comes out. Like that would be the ultimatum. And I was like, and until then, you're going to get help. And if we need to monitor you, we're going to monitor you. And
he has come out to say, and reports have come out to say that like he has met with the WB executives.
Yeah.
And there was a statement that basically said that he had told them, oh, I didn't really mind the headlines until I had heard from like anonymous WB individuals that it was going to cost me my job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like,
there was some salacious headlines. Like, holy shit.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think that maybe this has kind of cleared his head a little bit and like, oh shit, I can't make money if I'm on a blacklist.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. You know what, this is the one time I wish an actor would find Jesus. Because every time an actor finds Jesus, like they get very like proper and shit. You know what I mean? Like I think Drew made the joke about the what's his face from Holes, Shia LaBeouf. Fucking, he's
yeah.
like found Jesus. Apparently, he's a fucking asshole, though. I read the stuff that he was doing. Like, you can go fuck yourself, Shia LaBeouf. Like, holy shit. But apparently, he's found Jesus.
It's not great that like John Bernthal had him on his podcast and like, oh, we're gonna set all this straight and we're gonna let people know the importance of like coming clean and knowing you're wrong and things like that.
I think it's important for people to come clean though. So like I don't hate that he was on a podcast talking about it, because like it's one thing to be an asshole, but it's one thing, I think you're slightly a little bit better if you're an asshole and admit that you've done bad shit. I think he should pay the price for what he's done. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, is there a line to cross for Shia to be like, hey, I'm in everybody's good graces again?
So let's take an example that I think somebody who has been forgiven for doing something really heinous, Michael Vick, the football player, who was running dog rings, right?
Yeah.
He went to jail, he served his time, and he came back, and society has been kind of like, okay, you served your time. We're okay. And he has been put into a spot where he can no longer own a dog. His kids can't own a dog, all that kind of shit. They cannot own dogs because he fucked it up. And he's like, I'm fine with that. Like, I did my time, I'm good. And he has a job like on ESPN. So he's been forgiven. He's done his time. I think if you do your time, granted, I do think sometimes are fucking bullshit. There are people serving like 20-year life sentences or whatever for weed, which I think is fucking ridiculous. And then there are some people that have raped people and they got 2 weeks. Like, the system's fucking shit. But I think, like, I don't know what is, Shiloh did some heinous shit. So, like, if he went to jail for, 5 years or something like that, or 5 years, whatever it is, and he did his time, and then I think after that is when he can rehabilitate. And I think that's when you're like, okay, you did your time, Yeah. But if he hasn't done anything, then...
I know that, like, I haven't read everything, but I do know that, like, some of that stuff was, like, sexual abuse and, like, all this shit. So, like, there's some people that are just like, hey, you did this means you are no longer a good person no matter what you do.
No, and I think that's fair though. I think that is fair for some people. I am somebody who's really big against sexual assault and rape and all that kind of shit. If Shiloh was my friend, he'd be out of my life. I would give a fuck about what Shiloh's doing. But I think, like, again, I do think people should have the opportunity to rehabilitate. But I would probably never forgive Shiloh. Like, I wouldn't work with him. I'd be like, sorry, I'm not going to work with that. But like, because some of the shit I heard for like one of his roles, he was like shooting stray dogs to get into character, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, so, but the thing is, right now, I think he needs to serve time, and I don't think he's served time because he's now admitting it.
Well, so, yeah, he hasn't served time, but he also just got a role with like for another movie. So
yeah. The crazy thing though is I read, because I want to get your perspective on it. We're totally off of Batman at this point, but I like getting people's perspectives on this. That stuff with Olivia, because like Drew was mentioning that like she tried to frame him for something or whatever. So I went to look into it. Yeah. And I like to do my own research. I don't just believe people for whatever they say. So I was like, let me go check it out. And so that Olivia Wilde chick was apparently saying that like, oh yeah, I couldn't work with Shiloh, so we like fired him. So he came out and he was like, that's not how that went down. And he gave like all the receipts.
Yeah, and the video came out of Olivia Wilde too.
Yeah, so I'm just curious on like, are you more willing to believe somebody who has admitted to their bad doings in life? Because, like, what else? Like, if Shiloh, in a lot of people's eyes, is already an asshole. Like, he's a fucking terrible human being. So, at this point, if he's admitting to be a terrible human being, does that add more weight to his telling truth, or do you just not believe him? Because now Olivia Wilde's been caught. So, it's kind of like, I think people were going to believe her no matter what, but now she's been caught.
Because you still have those people that are like, that were on the side of, Shia's a piece of shit. He's lying.
Yeah.
You guys should believe Olivia.
Yeah.
Because she's the director. And why would she lie about this? And then when the video comes out, and not only the video, but now Florence Pugh is no longer doing any press at
I
all.
heard about that. Yeah.
And so, like, it is very clear that some shit went down on this set. And, like, with all of these cast members and everything else. So, but after all of that, people are still on the side of, well, yeah, Olivia Wilde was wrong in doing that, but Shia's still a piece of shit. Like,
no, it can be both, though. It could be
it
both.
can.
Yeah.
It can be both.
Yeah.
But they still want to be on the side that weighs more on, hey, Shia's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And we should still enjoy this movie because Olivia Wilde made it.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, because everybody loves Florence Pugh. Everybody. And I have not seen her in a role that makes me believe this is a great actress.
Yeah.
And I can't
say I know her.
She's of course also in the MCU now. She was the sister of Black Widow.
Oh, that's who it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I didn't like her in that role. And I haven't liked her in that role for Marvel because there's nothing there that shows me this is a great actress.
Yeah.
But I was seeing the trailers for Don't Worry, Darling, and I was like, oh, this might be something. I really want to see this. And after everything that's come out, I'm just like, this movie's a fucking mess. I don't know how much I want to see this movie anymore, you know?
I was reading the conversations or like Shia's account of the whole thing, and Olivia kind of gave me predatory vibes, which was weird because she was like, I think we could still make this work. Like, I think you could be a part of this. And I'm wondering, because she hooked up, or she's dating him now, I think, or Harry Styles, right? Who took over for that. So I'm like, was she trying to get Shia there so she could maybe date Shia? Because he's an attractive man. He's got great style, you know? But like, I just felt it really weird because she was like, I think we can make this work. And I think you're a fantastic person and blah, 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 blah. Like, I think just if you were on this, like we could do something special. And I'm just like,
she in that video, she was kind of gaslighting Florence Pugh also.
Yeah.
And like saying, oh, I think this is going to be a real eye opener for her. And like how she, like nothing was really wrong. Nothing really happened.
Yeah.
So I think we can kind of fix this,
Yeah.
And it's just like, ugh.
So, like, it just kind of makes you think, like, man, who in Hollywood is actually good? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I saw some people saying that, like, oh, this is why so-and-so or tried to, like, serve up the divorce paper. He still did it on stage, and that's still really shitty. Like, that doesn't make everybody in this situation is wrong, except for maybe Florence Pugh. She's like, what did I do? Like, I was trying to be Black Widow's sister, So, like, I don't know. That whole situation is fucking crazy. But yeah, when it comes down to it, I think like it feels like this is kind of the whole point of this podcast at this point, because we've had this discussion in multiple different forums. Something can suck and it can also be right or wrong at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's okay. Like Shia LaBeouf can be a really shitty person and you don't have to like what he's done. But I also think like if somebody does their time, they should be able to at least live a normal life. If he's going to work at McDonald's for the rest of his life or whatever, he should be able to do that after he does his time. If he gets off scot-free, I think that's bullshit, especially now that he's admitting stuff. I think he should do time. But I mean, it's Hollywood, it's celebrities. They don't ever have to pay the price most of the time, which fucking sucks. But nobody has to forgive him. Nobody has to think he's a good guy. But I just find it really weird that we don't give people even the opportunity to change. Because even in the public eye, you can be 100% innocent and people will say you're not innocent and it can fuck up your whole career. So I think that's kind of fucked in my opinion. But I do think Shia needs to serve time for, if all of the shit that came out was true, he should be in jail, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, remember when he was going to be Red Hood? Remember those rumors? Holy shit. I brought it back to Batman, ladies and gentlemen. I brought it back. But anyways, Clay, what do you got going on this week, man?
This week, I will be completely honest, not much. There has been very little news other than the stuff that we talked about as far as like DC and stuff. So I know that DC Alliance, we're going to be scrambling for some stuff to talk about, but Stargirl is started its third season, so we are going to be reviewing the first episode of that. We have also decided to rewatch Smallville. We are on episode 8 of that, so we will be talking about that as well. Over at Star Wars Alliance, there ain't shit going on there until Andor comes out later in September. So we reviewed one of the Lego movies, the most recent summer vacation Lego movie, which is, kind of cool. So go check that out as well.
Nice. I haven't been doing shit. So I've been, I was working on my editing job for a really long time, and now I'm trying to apply for Mr. Beast. So wish me good luck on that, because I've been working on that fucking resume all week. Mostly I've been playing video games and slowly working on the resume, but I've been working on it. I got back into Red Dead, man. That game's fucking great. It's so good. Been fishing, been hunting, been doing all this cool stuff, been killing a lot of cops in that game because they don't leave me alone. It's on them. I'm trying to just live my life as a cowboy and they're ruining it. All right. It's on there. It's on them. But anyways, that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. But as always, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne. And remember, Batman is awesome.
News Weekly.